Today we're visiting the South San Juan Wilderness. It's one of my favorite places to go. High alpine, lush meadows, lots of wildlife, and some very good fishing. And a lot of horsemen are up there, a lot of fishermen. And I remind them this is what we protected and this is what it's about.
It's hard to explain what this area really means to me. I can't really put it into words, it's more of a feeling. I'm passionate about oil and gas drilling because I live in an area that's been severely impacted. It would be very hard, impossible, I guess, for me to live here and not take a stand on what's happening.
The West is my home for 4 generations. The high elevation landscapes are the most magnificent landscapes in the continent, in my opinion. And we see what's happening. The fabric of these magnificent landscapes is becoming unraveled.
When you think of the American West, I think of wild places, and I think of breathing spaces. The American West is a reservoir for our spirit. And once you compromise the natural state of wild places, they're gone.
No matter how deep or how wide this resource is in the West, in the end, it will be finished. And the people will be left to clean up the mess when all of the oil and all of the gas have been extracted.
We can't drill our way to independence. All we're going to do is destroy our water resources, our wildlife, and our habitat.
NRDC's vision for the West is a future that's based on clean, sustainable energy. Unfortunately, we're still on the path of the past that is a dependence on fossil fuels, on oil, gas, and coal.
We're at the scene of the August 11th, 2006 blowout, where one of the wells blew. The rig workers lost circulation, and they knew they had lost pressure in the rig. And then they noticed that all along this bank above us and all along this county road, there were blowholes coming up out of the ground, and they were spewing condensates and drilling fluids. So they released the buoy valves on the rigs to save the whole area from exploding. About 25 households ended up evacuating. They have drilled 9 monitor wells. All but one of those sites showed groundwater contamination. Living next to oil and gas development is very difficult. Every time they light a flare at our house, the ground shakes. And it sounds like a 747 is taking off in your backyard.
The path we're on right now is a very dangerous path, and it's a path that will have enormous ramifications. What is it going to take for us to realize not only what we are doing, but what we are losing?
When I first started projecting White Bark could be in trouble with climate warming, I thought it might be something that my kids would see, or maybe my grandchildren. I never thought I'd be standing in forest like this. You know, this tree's dead, that tree's dead. But what's really driving the mountain pine beetle outbreak we're seeing in white bark pine is temperature. This is not a typical ecological disturbance event. This forest has been around a long time, has provided ecological amenities that are unmeasurable. We're seeing the collapse of it. We're in it. But to see this Methuselah tree go down is pretty heartbreaking, it really is.
There is no silver bullet to get us where we need to go, both to reduce global warming emissions and to reduce the other impacts on our environment, including water and land impacts. It's critical that the water program and the energy program work closely together. Water is and will continue to be increasingly a crucial issue throughout the West, especially as we start feeling more of the impacts of global warming.
If we in the water industry are going to be the first to experience the consequences of global warming, then we also have to be in the forefront of making the necessary transition. We have an obligation to make as much of our energy portfolio renewables as we possibly can.
If we are not able to get a handle on greenhouse gas pollution from the transportation sector, we are not going to be able to meet the very aggressive targets that we've set for ourselves in AB 32.
When California enacted AB 32, which was the first law in the world to put an enforceable cap on global warming pollution, the whole world was watching. And because of AB 32, we've got dozens of other states now trying to follow California's lead.
That went well, I think.
If we are able to get cost-effective energy efficiency #1 on every state's list of resources throughout the West, we certainly reduce by 50% or more the amount of extraction that needs to take place.
Approximately 4 years ago, we found out that there was a petition by El Paso Corporation to open up the Vividal for co-bed methane drilling. The Vividal, as we call it, the Yellowstone in New Mexico, when Cheney and Bush got together with the oil and gas, they basically, I guess, decided if it's got gas or oil, it gets drilled, no matter what the public input is and no matter how special this place is.
Environmentalists alone were not going to persuade President Bush or leaders in Congress to set aside this land.
That's where a lot of environmental campaigns have gone awry. They've become extremists. They're only one voice. You need to have broad-based support, and you get local people who can't be refuted. We said we need to change how the game is played, and that's why we thought only a political campaign, getting legislation passed through Congress, had a chance to win. NRDC provided funding, but also they helped us in Congress to push legislation through, to give us an idea of what was really going on a national basis.
When hunters and fishermen started speaking out against drilling in this area, it was protected.
I think there was only 1 or 2 places in the nation that got protected last year, and the Vividal is one of them.
This company has the right under Wyoming law to develop their minerals. There's no question about that. What we would like to see happen is that it be done in a responsible manner. I mean, we're trying to basically get big messes cleaned up in our neighborhood right now. That's all we can hope for, because we've really worked to bring the problems that we have here to the forefront through Natural Resources Defense Council.
NRDC is our collective voice. That's why they matter. I think when future generations look back and see a record of engagement, NRDC will be at the forefront. They didn't stay quiet. They stayed optimistic.
I really believe that if we tap all of the available efficiency in the different areas, not just the utility area, but the transportation area, and buildings and everywhere else, that we can not only save the environment, but we can also save our economy and make our world more sustainable.
That's what we're fighting for, to make sure that the ground as it remains is healthy for our children and our children's children. And NRDC is one organization that we can rely upon for that help.
I wake up in the morning and I hear the news on the radio. I say, wow, that really mattered. I feel like we're involved in business that really makes a difference to the future of the country. NRDC's ability to connect with people is key to our success.
I think so often we talk about the problems and what we're losing, but I think it's equally important to talk about the power of experience in wild country. And I think it has everything to do with a greatness of spirit. The gift of living in the American West is right here, right now.